Formula One. Careers take years to build, but some drivers manage to destroy everything in a single moment. This sport has seen the wildest implosions you can imagine. A rookie so unprepared the FIA literally took his license away. A world champion who chose the wrong team and never recovered. And a driver who deliberately crashed his own car and blew up his entire future. Crazy, right? These aren't slow declines. These are careers that went off a cliff in seconds. And today, we're breaking down 10 drivers who pressed the self-destruct button so hard the paddock is still talking about it. Confusing? Insane? Perfect. Buckle up, because this list gets messy fast. 1. Nelson Piquet Jr. Alright, let's start with the most nuclear button ever pressed in modern F1, the moment Nelson Piquet Jr. turned his entire career into debris with one single crash. Singapore 2008, Renault, night race. And a plan so insane it sounded like a movie villain wrote it. Piquet Jr. was ordered, according to his later testimony, to crash his car deliberately. Not just anywhere, but at the exact corner where a safety car would hand his teammate Fernando Alonso a race-winning strategy. And he did it. He spun into the wall on lap 14, the safety car came out, and Alonso went on to win. At the time, the world shrugged. Years later, the truth detonated. Crashgate. CrashNet called it the scandal that ended Piquet Jr.'s F1 career, and they weren't joking. Once he revealed everything to the FIA after being dropped from the team, the sport turned on him instantly. Renault bosses were banned, reputations were shredded, and Piquet went from future Brazilian talent to driver who intentionally crashed a Formula One car on purpose. And here's the brutal part. He was never the same. No top team would touch him. No midfield team wanted the PR nightmare. His F1 career was over before he even got the chance to prove what he could have been without politics. One crash, one order, one scandal, and Nelson Piquet Jr. never truly came back from it. Piquet blew up his career with a scandal. Our next guy, he didn't need a crash. He wrecked his future with one choice that aged like expired milk. 2. Jacques Villeneuve. Jacques Villeneuve had everything you want in a superstar. Rookie sensation, IndyCar champion, F1 world champion in his second season. The guy walked into the sport like he owned the place. And honestly, for a moment, he did. And then he made the decision. The one move everyone still talks about. The one choice that detonated the rest of his career. Instead of staying at Williams, a team giving him race-winning machinery, Villeneuve jumped to the brand new British-American racing project in 1999, a team that had zero race experience, zero data, zero stability. He went from fighting for titles to fighting the steering wheel just to finish a race. Bohr promised him a dream. What he got was a nightmare. Constant DNFs, a chaotic leadership structure, internal drama, and a car that handled like it was allergic to the track. The man who was supposed to challenge Schumacher spent the next years stuck in midfield purgatory, watching his prime evaporate in slow motion. It wasn't one crash that ended Jacques Villeneuve. It was one decision, one step in the wrong direction that turned a world champion into a cautionary tale. Alright, that hurt. But the next guy showed how fast a rising star can fall when the hype doesn't match the results. 3. Scott Speed. Scott Speed arrived in Formula One with a passport full of pressure. The first American on the grid in over a decade. Red Bull's hand-picked project. A marketing dream and a potential talent pipeline for the US audience. But once the lights went out, the results refused to show up. Speed spent 28 races in F1 and didn't score a single point, not one. And the problem wasn't just pace, it was everything else around him. Constant friction inside Toro Rosso, reports of clashes with team boss Franz Tost, and public comments that rubbed the paddock the wrong way. He didn't just struggle on track, he struggled in the building. By mid-2007, the patience ran out. Toro Rosso benched him mid-season, promoted Sebastian Vettel, and never looked back. That swap alone tells the story. One career ended, another superstar was born. Scott's speed wasn't untalented. His later success in rallycross proved that. But in F1, everything collapsed quickly. Expectations, personality clashes, and a lack of results created a perfect storm that shoved him out of the sport faster than he entered it. And if that fall felt quick, wait till you hear about the guy who left a top team and watched his entire career implode from the inside. 4. Emerson Fittipaldi. Emerson Fittipaldi had the kind of resume most drivers would trade a limb for. Two-time world champion, a proven superstar, still in his physical peak. And then he made one of the boldest and most disastrous decisions in F1 history. Instead of staying with a top-tier team and continuing his run at the front, Fittipaldi walked away from McLaren after 1975 to join the team run by his own family, Fittipaldi Automotive. It was emotional, it was patriotic, it was admirable, and it completely destroyed his competitive career. The car wasn't fast enough, the team wasn't stable enough, and Emerson spent years fighting in machinery that had no business near the front. A world champion who once battled for wins now found himself stuck in midfield survival mode, slowly fading from the sharp end of the grid. He didn't lose his talent, he lost the platform that made it shine. And the worst part? He left a championship-winning seat for a project that never even had the horsepower to carry his legacy. By the time he realized the dream wouldn't work, the sport had moved on. You don't get your prime back in Formula One, not even if your name is Fittipaldi. If that decision felt painful, the next guy didn't even get time to make one. His entire F1 career got erased before it even started. 5. Yuji Ide. Yuji Ide's F1 career didn't crash. It evaporated. And it happened so fast that if you blinked during the 2006 season, you probably missed the entire thing. He joined Super Aguri as a late addition, barely tested the car, barely spoke English, and was thrown straight into the deep end against the fastest drivers on the planet. It went exactly how you think. He spun, he stalled, he tangled with cars he never saw coming. But the moment that sealed his fate came at Imola. Ide collided with Christian Albers in a way that made every FIA official sit up and go, "Okay, that's dangerous." Albers flipped into a barrel roll, Ide was blamed, and suddenly the conversation wasn't about performance. It was about safety. 4 races. That's all he got. The FIA revoked his super license, one of the rarest punishments in F1 history, saying he wasn't adequately prepared for Formula One. And just like that, his career was over. No comeback arc, no second chance, no long goodbye. Ide's F1 journey is remembered for one brutal sentence. He wasn't ready, and the FIA didn't wait. Halfway in. If you're loving this chaos, tap subscribe now so you never miss more of F1 madness. Especially what's coming next, because this next driver, he blew up his career in one unbelievable moment. 6. Pastor Maldonado. Pastor Maldonado is the only driver in F1 history who could win a Grand Prix on Sunday and wipe out half the pit lane by Friday. His entire career was a paradox. On paper, he had everything: talent, insane raw speed, and a nation backing him with enough sponsorship money to power a small army. But Maldonado's problem wasn't ability, it was control. From the moment he entered F1, he collected incidents like they were loyalty points. Collisions, penalties, spins, unsafe moments. If there was a way to get in trouble, Pastor found it first. Commentators stopped asking, "What happened?" and started asking, "Okay, who did Maldonado hit this time?" The sad part? When he did get things right, he was genuinely quick. His 2012 Spanish Grand Prix win wasn't luck. He outraced Fernando Alonso in equal machinery, and that should have been his arrival moment. Instead, it became the peak of a career that went downhill immediately after. Teams loved the sponsorship money, but hated repairing 2 cars every weekend. Teammates lost trust. Officials got tired of writing incident reports. Bit by bit, Maldonado became a meme instead of a future star. And just like that, one of the most unpredictable drivers ever went from hero to hazard, a career destroyed not by one big moment, but by 1,000 small ones. And buckle up, because if you thought Maldonado's chaos was wild, then you're really not ready for our lucky number 7 driver. 7. Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso is the only driver in F1 history who can derail his own career momentum and still walk away looking like the main character. But rewind a bit, and the pattern becomes painfully clear. Every time he hit a major crossroads, he chose the option that looked sharp in the moment and sliced him open later. It started with the McLaren 2007 meltdown. Instead of cooling the fire, Alonso threw gasoline on it. Ultimatums, leaked tension, political battles with Ron Dennis. Boom. The whole team imploded. McLaren lost the championship, Alonso lost a long-term seat, and the future dynasty storyline died overnight. One of the worst self-inflicted detonations in F1 history. Then came Ferrari. This was supposed to be the redemption arc. Instead, it became the era of heartbreaking almosts. Alonso dragged flawed cars into title fights, but behind the scenes he burned bridges, clashed with leadership, and publicly ripped apart Ferrari's strategy calls. He walked away, right before the team finally stabilized. And the final twist? Leaving Alpine for Aston Martin at the exact moment Alpine surged forward. Alonso never lacked skill. He just kept picking the wrong door every time it mattered most. Alright, let's slide into number 8, because this next story depicts what happens when elite talent meets terrible timing, and it stings even more. 8. Jean Alesi. Jean Alesi had that kind of talent, the kind that makes fans swear he should have been a world champion. Raw speed, fearless commitment, elbows out aggression. The man drove like every lap was a last lap. But Alesi didn't destroy his career with one massive mistake. No, his downfall came from a chain of choices that aged like milk. The moment everything went sideways was 1990. Alesi had 2 contract offers on the table, Williams and Ferrari, one team about to enter its golden era, and one team about to collapse into midfield chaos. You already know which one he signed. Williams went on to dominate Formula One through the early 90s with world titles and race-winning machines. Alesi, he spent 5 painful seasons wrestling unreliable Ferraris, collecting heartbreaks, DNFs, and what could have been moments. The fans adored him, but the points didn't. His one and only win came in 1995, a beautiful, emotional victory at Montreal. But even that felt like a reminder of everything he should have achieved. After Ferrari, his career bounced around teams with zero upward trajectory, and the potential of a superstar faded into the story of a legend who never got the machinery he deserved, largely because he chose the wrong machinery first. Alesi didn't get beaten by talent, he got beaten by timing, and one brutal decision that echoed for the rest of his career. And speaking of painful what-ifs, number 9 isn't just a career collapse. It's a career that never even had the chance to stand up straight before it got kicked over. 9. Nikita Mazepin. Nikita Mazepin didn't just derail his F1 career. His entire stint in the sport felt like a real-time countdown to disaster. Before he even lined up on the grid, he was already fighting off a storm of criticism thanks to an off-track video that had the whole internet calling him a walking PR nightmare. From day one, he wasn't starting from 0. He was starting from -50. Once the season actually began, things didn't get easier. His rookie year at Haas became a highlight reel of spins, blocks, blue flag drama, and radio messages that left fans and engineers equally stressed. Every race weekend turned into a meme factory. And look, plenty of rookies struggle, but Mazepin's issues were so frequent that Mazepin became his unofficial nickname by round 2. But the moment his career truly ended wasn't on the track, it was off it. When the geopolitical situation escalated and Haas cut ties with his sponsor, which was also his father's company, Mazepin's contract was terminated overnight. One headline, one decision, 1 second, gone. This wasn't a slow decline, it was a trapdoor. One snap and he was out of Formula One, with no team willing to take him on afterward. For Mazepin, the lesson was brutal. In modern F1, your reputation is as important as your pace. And if both collapse at the same time, the sport doesn't give second chances. And now that takes us to number 10, the most literal example of a career ending in a single heartbreaking moment. 10. Robert Kubica. Robert Kubica wasn't just promising, he was the guy everyone quietly believed would become a world champion. BMW Sauber saw it, rivals saw it, fans saw it. The man had it: precision, speed, race IQ. That 2008 Canadian Grand Prix win? Pure class. He was climbing toward the very top of F1 and nothing looked capable of slowing him down. Until one moment did. In early 2011, during a rally event in Italy, Kubica's car struck a guardrail at high speed. The impact wasn't just violent, it was catastrophic. The guardrail pierced the cockpit and crushed his right arm. In a literal second, his F1 trajectory wasn't just altered, it was shattered. Every team, every fan, everyone who followed his rise felt the shockwave. Doctors weren't trying to save his career, they were trying to save his hand. Recovery took years. Endless surgeries, rehab, strength training. He fought harder than most athletes ever will. And eventually, against every odd, he made it back onto the F1 grid in 2019. It was one of the most emotional returns the sport has ever seen. But it wasn't the same. The speed, the reflexes, the natural fluidity he once had, they never fully returned. Kubica's story isn't about recklessness or bad choices. It's the ultimate example of how fragile an F1 career can be. One stray impact, one freak moment, 1 second that rewrites everything. 10 drivers, 10 careers blown up in seconds. Piquet Jr. triggered a scandal. Villeneuve bet on the wrong dream. Speed got outpaced by his own hype. Fittipaldi gambled on family. Ide got erased by the FIA. Maldonado became a full-time accident report. Alonso kept choosing the wrong door. Alesi got trapped by timing. Mazepin dropped through a trapdoor. And Kubica's story changed in one heartbreaking moment. Some drivers fade. These ones detonated. If you want more wild F1 stories, hit subscribe, because there's plenty more chaos where this came from.